What's up? What's up, fellas and ladies?
How y'all doing?
What's happening?
Come on in, share.
Come on in, come on in.
Comments.
You subscribe.
You are welcome and invited to Live Life Lounge. Go ahead and down at the bottom, it says turn your live notification on. Do that right now. Do that right now. Share. Listen, this is what you guys want to hear about what we want to talk about tonight. So go ahead, sir. Come on and get on. I know it's late, but I got 5 of y'all on here. Hello. Well, guess what? I'm gonna share. Listen, may I say this? Can I say Happy New Year with the Y-E-A-R, no X? I think we should just go ahead and start the nomination right now.
Happy what? 2021.
Happy 2021.
2021. Well,
all right,
we made it over.
For real. So listen, we only got a short time, but we just want to say first, Happy New Year. But this is our first podcast of the year. And so, of course, as you've seen down at the title, you see flyers going all over the place. Squad goals. We're talking about squad goals tonight. All right?
Squad goals.
Squad goals.
This is our squad. We have goals this year. Yes, Lord. Just put it in the
I
atmosphere.
just got nervous.
Lift your hands. Lift your hands. Lift your hands.
Uh-oh.
With a
Chucks and pearls.
I did throw it.
I already did.
You already know it again. Oh, I just went. Oh, okay. All right, for real. So squad goals. What we're gonna be talking about is inner circle. Our inner circle. Our circle of friends. Who we need in it, who we need out of it, who belongs, who does not belong. So we might as well go ahead and start.
Am I starting? Is that what's happening?
I don't know. Are you starting?
I've always got a good scripture because I'm always trying to be prepared.
All right.
What came to mind when I thought about company and squad? 1 Corinthians 15, 33 through 34. Do not be misled.
Do not.
Because bad company corrupts good character. Let me read it again.
Okay.
Bad company corrupts good character.
Read.
34 says, come back to your senses as you ought, and stop sinning, for there are some who are ignorant. I say this to your shame. Check who's in your company.
Check who is in your company.
Because it'll challenge your character.
Did
y'all feel that shit? I'll go ahead and talk.
Welcome to our new year. Oh, so listen. So what we've been doing for the past couple of months is we have been in a book. We've been reading, having dialogue about a book by Joel Osteen, which is really, really good. So you guys have a ministry, you got a group, y'all have small groups, and y'all do books or whatever. It's called The Power of I Am. The Power of I Am. And there was a section in there that basically was titled, Be Careful Who You Allow Into Your Inner Circle. And so they brought up Jesus choosing his 12 disciples. Basically what it says, when Jesus was on earth, he was very selective with his friendships. Everyone wanted to be close to him, but he chose only 12 disciples with whom to spend most of his time. Out of those 12, 3 were his close friends, Peter, James, and John. One could be considered his best friend, which was John, and he was described as the disciple whom Jesus loved. You may know a lot of people and have many acquaintances, but you have to be careful who you allow in your circle. So, and then it went even further to talk about even best friends. The higher you go and the more successful you are, the tighter your circle needs to become. So I really believe that whenever we are, whether it be our destiny, whether it be our dream or vision, and right now we see a lot of people that are getting their LLCs because the government has allowed us to be blessed in such a financial way. And some of us were stimulated by the stimulus. All right. And so a lot of people were very, they were very, very smart, if you will. And some were like, look, I'm going to step out on a limb. God has blessed my streams of income. And I'm just going to do this thing. I'm just going to jump out on it. And then we have some friends that were like, nah, you might not want to do that. And then that challenges what we have been called to do. That's my opinion. And so Joel Osteen talks about how those people are the negative people in your circle may need to be further back. Don't let them so close to your circle because they can talk you So, I mean, we can, go ahead.
I was about to say also, everyone can't handle where you're going or where you are. So it's you have to be really careful of who you choose as your closest people. As our pastor say, your core people in your life, because everybody can't go where you're going. You have to make sure that they are not speaking against what God has called you to. So yeah, keep that in mind.
Okay, so I'm gonna go against the grain really
Let's go
quick
against the grain.
and ask a question.
Okay.
Cause see, from my understanding of what I read, Jesus was kicking it with 12 disciples that he considered friends. 3 of them is best friend, as you just so elegantly stated.
Elegantly.
But
I love it. Let's go.
my offer to you is, Jesus was hanging out with 12 dudes that most people wouldn't even let in their crib.
Right.
On the average, like, you know. My mama never would have let John, Peter, and the rest of them.
What's the name? What's the name?
The rest of them. They wouldn't have been allowed. If I'd have came around with 12 hoodlums, my mama would have said,
Not real.
stay outdoors.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to understand from the standpoint of choosing who can be in the circle.
So that was actually one of our first questions, and it was who do you prefer? Who do you need? Who do you prefer and who do you need in your inner circle?
Is there a difference in a need and a preference?
Oh,
Or do you prefer what you need? Or
never mind.
I need certain people.
Now, and I'm just gonna speak into your question, just real, and like you said, I like when you go against the grain. I think what Jesus seen was beyond the potential. I think what we do as human beings is we see a potential. And I don't want to go left, but I'm going to go left. Y'all bring me back. That's like dating somebody with potential. They may never meet or never see the potential. So you're just dating what they're never going to become. And so I think that is inner circle. I think Jesus seen beyond their potential, and he pushed them to go to exceed that. So he was like, let me go get some people that's never gonna hang with them. And because I've already become, and because I'm here for an assignment, let me push you to whom you've been called anyways. That's how I look at it. A drug dealer actually being a entrepreneur. Y'all watch Stars. Y'all watch my boy Ghost. If he had not sold drugs, he still would have been a businessman. I'm not justifying that. What I'm saying is he needed somebody to say, you know what, you don't need to sell these drugs. Let's push you beyond. Let's go to you don't need it, and some people don't have to go to school to become. Let me fix that as well. Sometimes, our pastor always talks about his purpose. You know, he could have sold drugs for the rest. He could have been a dealer. However, he was called to pastorship. I think we all have that story. Some of us could have been doing something else. But because we've been called and we had our inner circle to push us, that's when we became.
I guess you must first find out what you're called to. Then you can find out who you need around you.
So how do you tell the difference between potential that shall come to fruition versus potential that will never?
So that's when you go back to Jesus. He knew out of the 12 who needed to stay close to him. So let me go back, because there's an example in Mark 5 where it talks about and again this is from Power by Am. Joe talks about the book of Mark, and he goes to Mark 5 and he says, look, I'm going in here, this little girl is dead, okay? And he says, I ain't gonna take all 12, I'm taking 3 of my homeboys. And it was what, James, Peter, and John. One of the reasons he took them in there is because he knew that they wouldn't talk him out of not healing her. And they knew that the people were in there because it talks about how when Jesus came, oh, you gonna heal her? Like they already challenged who he was, but Peter, James, and John knew who he was becoming or knew what his assignment was. That's how you can tell the difference. If they keep talking you out of your calling, which you already know, then they don't need to be in your circle.
Can I do that real quick? You're talking about Peter, James, and John, and right here in the book it says his attitude was, I don't need your doubt. I don't need you telling me what I can't do. I'm going to surround myself with believers, with people of faith, with people who understand my assignment. So again, it goes back to is understanding your assignment.
There you go.
And I want to jump on that as well, because even in the word, as Jesus was foretelling his death to Peter, he said in 3 days the Son of Man will die and be raised again. And Peter said, no, we ain't gonna have that. You know, and sometimes you gotta know who you are, even to have people around you that can withstand the rebuke.
Listen.
You have to give.
Listen.
They may not know exactly the assignment that you have, but they may be strong enough to still stand with you. Through it.
Strong enough to still stand with you.
Wow. So did we tackle that person? Kind of, sort of.
Can I get a scripture to go with all that? Who should be surrounded?
Jesus wept.
Oh,
God bless your life. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his
the
word.
model. You got one?
Amos. This is our personality, y'all, so y'all don't know. This is it.
Welcome.
Amos 3:3. How can two walk together except they be in agreement? So I'm just gonna seal it with that. Y'all can talk.
Be in agreement.
What translation is that?
Translation of I don't know.
Oh my God.
NIV, it's a many versions. English Standard Version. It's message.
Webster, Oxford. Which
This
one?
is crazy.
No, this is definitely from the Bible.
Jesus. Okay, second question. Does there come a time when someone no longer belongs or fits in your inner circle? And I think we kind of touched a little bit on it. But does there come a time when someone no longer belongs or fits in your inner circle?
So by that do you mean just growing beyond what you're accustomed to?
Possibly.
All that can fall into.
Sure, that would be the answer. So if that happens, does that mean they are no longer in your inner circle?
It could be for a season.
Okay, so for me personally, this is good because this is actually speaking to me right now.
Absolutely.
Because I've made the decision in my life to not get rid of the previous friends that I had, but just upgrade a little bit.
So add to.
So that's
Not even really add to my friends, but I just wanted to be around people that were doing
more
exceedingly better than I was in life.
Okay. That's good.
But I don't necessarily consider them friends. You know what I'm saying? To y'all that may be watching me.
For those that are listening, no, they gonna hit you up tonight and be like, bro.
Y'all my boys. Hey.
I thought that we were friends.
So your inner circle hasn't necessarily changed.
My inner circle.
You're just adding people to the outer circle.
There are people that I trust with not my life, but something like that. That I could never, regardless of their status in life, I could never pull them away from my circle because I know that them being a part of my circle is a big part of what they got going on.
So you encourage them in some form. It's more you
What I'm-
giving them.
What I'm trying to do is have the circle turn into a pyramid, and the people that I got at the top that's showing me I can trickle down
Okay.
on everybody else.
Are you trying to influence?
You're the influencer.
Yeah,
For yours.
I guess I am.
So in a sense, it's almost like the mindset that Jesus had. So he's going out. He already has a circle of friends, but in certain situations, you know who to call within your circle and outer circle. No.
That was a question.
It was a question.
What? Maybe.
It sounded like you was telling me something. I'm sorry.
I'm asking. Is that kind of what you're saying? So like Jesus in the power of I am, he's saying, listen, he go Peter, James, and John. These are one that's kind of tight with me. However, there are 12. So it's like within your big circle, you just know who to pour into and who you know who's going to pour into you. Yes. Okay. I think, yeah, because what I think we also get messed up in, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, is sometimes we do so much pouring, and we have nobody in our circle to pour back into us.
So does that mean maybe one of them should not be in your inner circle? Like, does that mean they're holding a position that they don't need, or
Or probably no longer call to it.
I think that means you need to reevaluate who's in your circle.
So will the circle itself always have balance, or will it be individual relationships?
According to my therapist,
Oh, come on, talk.
By the name of?
Maria.
Shout out to Maria.
According to my therapist, there always needs to be a boundary. And that allows you to say, okay, I can get this from you, or you can give me all the meat and I spit out the bone situation, or you can let that person talk and you just not receive it. And just allow them to be great. Like, one example, and I'm just gonna throw it out here. I have 3 businesses, right? And Brandy may call and say, look, we need to do this for the group. I'm gonna hear her, but if somebody from Keith Lane calls me and say, this is what you need to do for your group, I'm like, oh. I think there's a lane that certain people need to be in. You see what I'm saying?
Compartmentalize.
Compartmentalize, right.
That's good word.
Yes.
That's good.
And so you just gotta know, it's like a puzzle piece. It's a big masterpiece. You just gotta know where to put certain people. I don't know if that's it.
That's right.
I mean, did we do that right?
I mean, there's no set set answer. Is do you feel like, so okay, we want to keep using the Jesus analogy. Do you think there would have ever been a situation where James, Peter, or John would have lost that spot, pretty much? Would like become more like on the level as of the 12 and not the close
I
to
don't know if that's really. Go ahead.
Is it James and John, the one that their mom said, you need to sit right beside Jesus?
On his left and his right.
There you go. I think that's where the mark would have been missed if they would have honed in on just that one opportunity. I think once they found their identity, it was like, oh, this is my assignment. This is what I'm called to. Whether Jesus ascended or not, they knew they were called to. But if they would have focused on their mother's dream for them, then yeah, slide on to you.
So everything you're saying is, I'm sorry.
Wait, no, I'm finished.
Everything you're saying is going back to understanding your assignment. And I think that speaks to who you have in your inner circle. You know, so sometimes you have to, for each season, you have to reevaluate who's there.
So
it may be difficult, but if you have a relationship with God, you know, He'll help you get through that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For the next group of people or whatever.
So for those that may be listening and watching and tuning in, that may feel like their inner circle is in question, how do they go about changing or rearranging or maneuvering or Vancouvering?
Really?
All right.
Okay, so I'm so glad you said that, and I may have to read until I get that answer, but Joel Osteen talks about that as well. So he says, pay attention to who's on your team, who's speaking into your life, to whom you are giving your time and attention. In practical terms, who are you eating lunch with every day at the office? Who are you talking to on the phone so much? Are they building you up or tearing you down? Are they pushing you toward your destiny, or are they telling you what you can't do? Are they modeling excellence, integrity, character, and godliness, or are they lazy, sloppy, and undisciplined? You have a responsibility to redeem your time. Don't waste it with people who don't sharpen you. If you don't politely show them the door, they can keep you from your destiny. Sometimes we know a person is not good for us, and we know they're dragging us down. But we think if we let them go, we're going to be lonely. Yes, you may be lonely for a season, but you'll never give up something for God without Him giving you something better in return. This is what he said at the end. He says, it's better to make the change and be lonely for a season than to be poisoned for a lifetime.
Jesus, Lord.
So what does Jesus say in Mark 5? He politely showed them the door. He said, look, I'm going to go heal this girl. But they got the door right there. And you got to just politely do it. I think we talked about this a while, well, not on podcast, but we do Tuesday reading, or Tuesday studying, but we talked about grieving. Can I help y'all? When you do show that person that does not belong in your inner circle any longer, you're going to grieve. And so I think that is what we need to take into consideration when building our inner circle, when downsizing our circle, making it smaller for our season or for our lifetime. We need to know, look, we're grieving, and you need to let it. And one thing I did learn is that whenever you are showing somebody the door, show them the door, but don't burn the bridge.
So that leads to my question. Just because they're no longer in your inner circle, they can still be your friend.
Right, yes, yes.
So so pretty much, you're downgrading someone from best friend to friend.
Some
Is
people
that what's
need to
happening?
be cut off completely. You can't be
So,
friends.
can I go against the grain one last
I
time?
like, no, go ahead.
Cause see, I love Dr. Joel Osteen. Shout outs to you. If you ever need a drummer or a bassist,
Wow.
let me plug that in.
This ain't
Dr. Joel Osteen.
Father God in heaven.
I'll let him. But is there a such thing as all negativity not being or staying negativity? Because the reason I say that is I have what some may call a hater in my circle.
Really? So you have a Judas.
Correct.
Okay, and so
And it's not necessarily a Judas like I'm waiting on them to stab me in my back.
you just know that they're not capable of.
I know that when they come to me in a negative fashion, it's because they know that I'm gonna feed off of that and go another direction.
To reroute you from completing your assignment.
No, when they come to me and say, you can't do that, they're telling me that I can't do that because they know I'm gonna say, yes, I can.
Now, are they really a hater, or is that just a different form of support?
But that's the question I'm asking now. I said what some may call a hater.
I think that I agree with Hayes here, your way. Give me some new name. But I agree with Hayes there that it could be a different type of support. And so you just gotta know how far to keep him or her. You know, that may
Or
not be,
they,
because those people may not need to be so close in your circle. Always, your right hand does not necessarily need to know what your left hand is doing. So that particular individual does not need to know, oh yeah, I'm about to play with this individual, or I'm about to be on this platform. They don't even know that. Let them see you do that, because they could very well motivate you to, for example, musician talk. That particular moment, you need to be playing in the pocket, because he said you're not able to do that, and you never amount to that. You coming out the pocket, and that now has messed up your opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to prove to him or them or they that I'm better on this platform. You know what I'm saying?
But see, here's the thing. I'm not even sure that this person knows that they're a part of my circle at this point.
Well then,
So-
that's your decision then.
It shouldn't even be an issue.
Yeah, it's on.
No. They're in my circle though.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
have them in my
Oh,
circle.
bless you.
I don't know if they know that they're in my circle.
Bless you.
Oh, okay. Well, it's
Because all
like,
they be doing is hating.
it sounds like a level of control. Like, if you allow them to make you feel the way you're feeling, then you will feel like that. Don't give them that look. You know what I'm saying?
But
You
I
know
can give
who
it
you
to
are.
them though because it's worked for me previously.
Okay.
I'm so glad
So
to hear.
you
I'm
can
pretty
push
sure
it.
these people be thinking like this.
It's time to change some stuff. It's time to upgrade.
But wait, I'm confused.
No, because he's saying that he is saying something negative to him, and
It works out.
it's like a
It works out.
motivation for him.
Right.
But he
So
doesn't
why does
even
he need
know.
to go anywhere? He should stay, right?
Not if he's.
I was saying that because my previous take before this one, I was saying, how does one know the difference between who need to stay and who need to go?
That would all be
And I'm not saying that everybody that's negative need to just go. You know what I'm saying?
But the fact that you're questioning makes me.
I'm not questioning it for me.
was
Using it as an
challenging the
example.
platform.
So everybody that's negative doesn't necessarily need to go. That goes. I was thinking at the beginning when you guys were saying like if you have an idea and somebody's like, no, they might be trying to help you. They might be being realistic. They may not necessarily be shooting down your dreams. They may know like that may not be your sitch. Like they could be trying to save you from falling on your face.
Very
when
well.
you really didn't have to fall on your face.
Very well. Now, I'm the individual that when somebody throws that at me, I ask why.
You gotta understand. Yeah, it's important to
I was
know why
gonna say
they're saying
you're a
no.
realist now.
Because
Definitely.
they could just be being realistic or like giving you that, hey, this is the practical information, do with it what you will, or they're just saying you can't. But like you can't just automatically assume just because someone's telling you no that they're not on your side. Because they could be telling you no to help you.
You will be able able to tell the difference though?
That's what I mean.
Like, would you be able to tell the difference?
You would.
You
Say
should.
somebody was really like being stupid negative, and then somebody was
That is
like
why-
not
that's
necessarily
why.
being negative, but positive, but giving you the truth.
Positively negative.
That's
Yeah.
where discernment comes
Discernment.
in. Like,
And we both know that
for real.
Jesus was a master of discernment. That's why when he walked in, he already knew how he was I don't want to use the word energy, but he picked up the spirit that was going on in there. This is why that little girl in there, no one in here has faith. So I always challenge the faith in somebody in me. Why can't I do it? Well, sis, you kind of lacking consistency. Okay, yeah, you right. So what can I do to make myself? Well, you know, sometimes you don't meet the deadline. Okay, yeah, you right about that. You know, or my days get on me all the time. Me and my brother all the time about following through. Don't start anything if you're not going to follow through. You're wasting everybody's time, including yourself. So it's like that. You know, if you're speaking negative, it may not be negative. Maybe just them, like you said, being a realist and saying, "Bro, we both know you can't do this. Like you can, but you won't do this." You know what I'm saying? So I want you to prove me wrong, so that we go on to the next assignment in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Did that answer the question?
It's
What?
okay.
What? Right here. Okay. So I think you said, does there?
Wow. Take
Is
your time.
there any point where
Take your
someone
time.
no longer belongs in your inner
So
circle?
if so, what do you do? Do you remove them? How? Or does the transition happen naturally? So I think you kind of answered the first one. The naturally part.
Cause
The
I think
fall off.
I get like if you guys like what we all have heard and maybe have even experienced,
I've-
sometimes outgrow people. So like to me
Yes.
that's a natural.
Natural,
Like, it takes care of
yes.
itself naturally. So,
No need to.
like does
function
it
else.
always happen naturally, or do you sometimes have to like intentionally fall back from somebody?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You want to speak on that? No.
I don't know. I'm just saying you can go both ways. Yeah.
I found myself, and I think I told you guys this during the time we were kind of studying this book. I found myself, the Holy Spirit was like, "Look, it's time for you to transition." And I was like dragging my feet. 'Cause I was like, "This is not going to end well." I'm dragging my feet. There needs to be a better way of smoothly transitioning out. And because I stayed so long, it got ugly. And so as I was leaving out, I was fasting and repenting at the same time. God had gave me an analogy on this, a demonstration of spoiled milk. And I think I told you guys this. And it's like, if you leave spoiled milk in the refrigerator, the jug is going to expand. If you take the top off the container, it's going to stink. If you leave it in the house, it's going to stink the whole house. If you put it in your cereal or anything, it's going to upset your stomach. Now you have affected negatively the entire body. One beauty of that, though, is that you can use that spoiled milk for curds.
Turning negatives into positives.
Right. So, what I'm saying in that situation is, my leaving out still made the situation positive. My disobedience and not leaving out timely affected everything negatively. So I really believe that sometimes naturally, that's why I said yes. You gotta explain that. 'Cause naturally, sometimes your time does expire with people, or sometimes people expire with you. And I think that again is to get you to your next. If Jesus would have stayed any longer, there would have not been any ascension, and we would not had the Holy Spirit for ourselves. So we have to just factor in what we, the reward in the natural fall off, if you will, or saying, okay, this is our time, this is your door, and that's what I said too. Sometimes you can show the door but not burn the bridge. Because to me, bridges is what keeps unity. Because if I walk into a building and there's like, that bridge is burned, there's going to be something between. There's going to be an odds, going to be tension. You see what I'm saying? I mean, if you want to rebuttal, go.
Well, I've had people that I've had to cut off completely.
Mm-hmm.
And you said grieving.
You ain't care nothing about the bridge.
No, it wasn't that. It was out of it was out of obedience.
Right.
I was told that you stay here, it'll get worse. You will never get what you want out of this.
Mm.
So I had to cut off completely.
But did you show them the door, or and burn the bridge, or did you show
I
them
said
the
that
door
this will be
and
the
burn
last time we will speak.
So let me ask this
So
real quick.
I guess I showed them the door.
But if you, remember that, I'm not gonna jump in. If he or she was in the building, would you still be cordial and speak
Of
no
course,
tension?
Of course.
And would they feel that what came out of your mouth was genuine?
That I don't know. I never.
Godliness, like can they see God in this? And sometimes people don't because they're grieving.
That's what I said.
Oh,
Sometimes,
God.
I mean, because I've done it before where I've cut somebody off and they're angry with me, you know, and I'm just like, gosh, even in me explaining or apologizing, it still didn't work, but I did my part. I did what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And I see the fruits of it now, you know what I'm saying? Because I did cut these people off. Okay, I get it, God. Like, they couldn't come without me. They
Right.
can't go.
Sometimes you can't tell them.
You can't tell them that
But
because
it's
they don't
like,
understand that. They don't understand the assignment on my life, you know. Did I agree? Yeah, of course, because these are people that I adored for years, you know. But you have to do what you're called to do and you're told to do, or you'll be paid for it.
Expired milk, child. Won't be no curds in that bowl.
So that's why I said, yeah, burnt bridge. I don't know if it's burnt or not. I think it's burnt up. I put it in the fire.
Oh my! Oh,
I lit the
fine.
match.
You lit it? Oh,
I lit the match.
Oh,
I'm moving forward. I can't look back.
Moving forward.
But what-
Shout out to Israel. If you need a bass player or a drummer, hit my line.
Okay.
But real quick,
Yeah.
Just gonna leave us?
You're
no,
right.
no. What is this about?
We don't know. Tell us.
Jesus. Jesus. Okay, so there is an NBA basketball player by the name of Anthony Davis.
Okay.
Anthony Davis, when he was in high school, played the position of point guard because he was about, yeah, that's the guy with the unibrow. He played
Wait a minute.
Listen, played the position of point guard because he was about 5'10". What are you, 5'10"? At the time he was 5'10". By the time he got to college, the brother was almost 7 foot.
Jeez, he was a
And
giant.
they moved him to center.
Please.
So, my question is it necessary to remove people from your team because they no longer fit that position? Or can you move them somewhere else so that they may be effective?
Hold on, I think we gotta iterate on the key part of that, which was the growth.
The growth.
Ah, this is good. Oh, you see it. All
The
right.
growth.
So it's the growth that allows you to transition position.
Shut down.
But what if your decrease,
Also,
Did he get shot?
causes you to shift positions.
maybe you didn't grow, maybe you shrunk.
Bugsy?
Now I gotta take you from B to A.
And I think that is my question. Like, you don't necessarily have to cut them off. You can just reposition them.
Reposition.
Absolutely. So can
I'm
we?
proud of myself for that Anthony Davis thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
did good.
Thank
You
you,
did
boy.
good.
So can we say
Thank
that?
you, boy.
And that was good. 3 things.
I just
And
want to
we
get
can leave
around
you
to
guys
the-
with this. A lot of times we can show the door. A lot of times we can burn the bridge. God bless that burn bridge. And then sometimes we can reposition. Let me challenge you guys tonight though. Whether that bridge is burned, a lot of times once the people grow, sometimes you can bring them back. And
You can't if the
rebuild.
bridge go.
Wait a minute, and rebuild the bridge.
Wow. You can rebuild the bridge then.
Because now they can help you build that bridge because the boundary was lost. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's what it was with Jesus. He knew where to put certain people. The last thing that Jesus said to Judas was, "Do it quick, right? Do it
Whatever
quick.
you're gonna do, do it.
Whatever you're gonna do, do it quick.
Jesus.
Do it quickly."
We got some whatever you're gonna do it quickly. Go ahead and do it.
And
I'm
that
watching. I
bridge.
see you.
That bridge. So politely, Jesus again showed the door. Judas burned the bridge, and those that needed to, because there was no longer a spot for Judas, he repositioned or he put somebody there. So we just got to know what to do in that circle. I really believe that we need the Holy Spirit to do that. I believe that we need to have dialogue like this. We need to pour and be poured into. That's what I do believe. So listen, Thank you guys for tuning in on our first podcast of the year.
2021. 2020.
So, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this once a month.
We can do that.
Once a month. And what we will be doing, we'll let you guys know, even the pages that you follow, even the podcast that you're listening to, what books that we're going to be kind of diving into, what we're reading, what we're studying, even if we go and just study a book of the Bible, what have you. But listen, if you were blessed during this podcast, you're like, listen, I have been pondering about what to do with a particular friend or what to do with certain friends. I need to show the door, burn the bridge, reposition, whatever it is. I hope that this podcast helped you. Now listen, what we do as well, because we just don't want to do a podcast, just be a dialogue all over the place. If you were blessed by this and you are like, man, I want to know more about Jesus, this Jesus that you talk about, please hit us up in our message. Reach out to us for those that are listening. We have a lot of outlets. Instagram, which is TPFCNS. Yes. We also have Facebook, which is Tamika Peterson, The Few Chosen in Stereo. And so go on those, message us. We want to walk you through that journey of a relationship we have with Christ. Also, what we do as a team is we pray every Monday. Every Monday we bombard heaven. If you see on our podcast, again on our podcast, and you want to know more about us, go to our social outlets, put your prayer request in. One thing we do believe is that you don't have to give us the X, Y, and Z's. We believe in a God that already knows exactly what you want, for He supplies all of our needs according to His riches and glory. And so we already know. We're gonna pray. We're going to mention your name. So aside from that, listen. Next, what's this? It's January. We're gonna see you guys in February. Real quick.
Do we have somewhere where people can suggest topics?
Yes. Again, go on our page right here on what you're listening to. Message us. Tell us what you want to hear us talk about. I told them the very first time we talked about shacking up. My God, did it get right and busy? They got right and busy. All right, and so we want those type of topics so we can talk about those. We don't want to force you right into or beat your head up against the wall with the Bible. But we do want to have dialogue. We want to have a conversation. But aside from that, I think we're finished. We finished, guys?
We're finished.
All right. So listen, I hope you guys tune back in February. But one thing I want you guys to remember is to live life. Love you guys.
But I didn't. I was on point. I remember.